Ladies and gentlemen, the plot thickens around the whole legal situation that Dandadan has found itself in recently. Yes, for those who don't know, the whole situation is in episode 18 of the series, they had to do an exorcism. So they end up bringing in a rock band that is obviously a parody of X Japan. It seems like the mangaka and even everybody involved with the actual anime adaptation of this segment of the manga itself is massive fans of X Japan, and they want to do an homage to X Japan, and so they pretty much had a band come in. They did an entire cover that was a spoof of one of their actual songs, and it was great. Everybody loved it. It was fantastic. I thought it was phenomenal. Well, yes, one of the band members of X Japan ended up seeing it because people were kind of going, hey, this sounds like X Japan. And sure enough, Yoshiki of the band was like, holy crap, I didn't know about this. This is so freaking cool. I love this. I want to check out the anime. And everybody's going, holy crap, what's X Japan? People are checking out X Japan. It like ended up being like this fandom coming together, and everybody's having fun and enjoying music from X Japan. They're enjoying Dandadan. It was fantastic. It was really cool. But unfortunately, somebody forgot to call the right people. As yes, Yoshiki mentions at some point, I got a phone call from the lawyers. We might have a copyright infringement issue here. People, please contact the right people before you do things like this. Because yes, in Japan, doing parodies and whatnot is, yes, kind of frowned upon. There's a lot more stricter laws there on what you can actually do. And yes, somebody forgot to call the right people. And yeah, later they followed up saying, yes, so people are aware, Sony Music Publishing owns the song that they were doing the parody of. Yoshiki, X Japan, they had nothing to do with this, with the lawyers getting involved. They were just telling them, hey, something might be wrong here. Sony Music Publishing might be going after the people that worked on Dandadan because this isn't right. You can't just do this kind of stuff. And that's why I made it clear in my previous video. Don't go after X Japan. They have nothing to do with this. But the thing that I also kind of pointed out in my video last time covering this whole situation was, wait, Aniplex is on the actual production committee. Aniplex is owned by Sony. Sony Music Publishing is owned by Sony. So it seemed a little weird. And the conclusion that I was kind of coming to is that I was assuming what was going to happen here was that somebody just didn't ask the right person. They're probably going to have conversations in the background, and nothing's really going to happen. I did joke in my previous video saying, hey, go watch the show before it gets taken down, which, yes, has happened before. I mean, there was this one show where the girls were working at this manga shop and the mangas were deleting, and they had to go into the mangas and fix the world themselves. I forget what the name of the show is. But yeah, one of those episodes were removed from Crunchyroll. I think Osamatsu-san had some episodes removed too, and they do a lot of parodying. But yeah, sure enough, like I was kind of suspecting, I didn't really think anything was going to happen. I mean, if you go to the actual official website here of Dandadan, and you go to the different websites for, Japan streaming, they're all there. Like the episode right here on this website, Nico Nico, is still there. If you go to here to Abima, the show is still available. If you go to here to MBS, the episode's still available. There's been no takedowns. Even here on YouTube Japan, the actual music video is still there. The actual insert part segment there is still there. There's no takedowns happening of the show. What I was kind of suspecting, I think one of my theories I put in even in that video, what I was kind of expecting it's probably going to be the song itself. Because again, we're talking about specifically Sony Music Publishing. If Sony Music Publishing itself, and we're talking about the song, we're talking about specifically the fact that they were doing the song. I think it was Kurenai. We're parodying Kurenai. That's going to be the problem. And sure enough, that seems to be the case, as here Anime Corner has kind of pointed out. It does look like there's a lot of delisting happening. So using a VPN and going to the official website for Aniplex, where they actually have links going out to different external websites to listen to the song itself, that's where the problem's happening. That's where we're seeing some action being taken. I have my theories on that, but yes, going through here, if we actually go to each one of these websites, AWA, no longer found, 404 not found. Go to here, Apple Music, no longer found, no longer listed. Over here on Spotify, it's still listed. It's just not playable. So I'm assuming this is kind of region locked of some way. If you go over here to Amazon Music, it's not even found here. Go over here to Line. Line specifically, it's still available to play. That was an oddity. Of all these sites, Line is still available to play it. Not sure, maybe they're just taking longer to take it down, who knows. KK Box here, taken down. So again, massive delistings that are happening for this specific song. Now I want to clarify, this is all specifically in Japan. These are all takedowns in Japan itself. I believe in most of the websites in the West, it's still available. They're just doing takedowns here. I'm using a VPN right now to access these websites, and that's where it's showing the delisting happening. So what kind of gets to my conclusion here, what I think is actually happening is that, yes, like they were saying, things are being talked about. And sort of what I suspect back there in my previous video, my previous coverage of this, what I think was sort of happening was, even though, yes, Aniplex is in the production committee, you do have a lot of other companies involved. You do have record labels within those companies that probably were actually heading this song itself. And yeah, even though the lawyers did call, it's probably specifically just Sony Music Publishing, and it's about the song itself. Which makes me believe that there's going to probably be no takedowns of the show itself, the episode itself, in the future, just because there's so much they're doing in the episode that doesn't really involve the song. I think probably the biggest issue they're going to face is the song itself. You can't sell that song. You can have your show and everything, but you can't have that song, especially with Aniplex being involved with the production of it. Now, they could end up later on when a Blu-ray comes out or something like that, they might end up having to have an edited version. I'm not sure there. I'm sure they can come to an agreement. But there's also the chance that all this takedown isn't really necessarily that they are complying to a legal action, but it's more so that Aniplex or the record labels, everybody involved with the song itself, is taking this stuff down because it's easy to take down, and it will lessen any sort of legal liabilities they may have in the future. So yes, somebody contact them. They said, take it down for now. This is easy to take down. It's harder to take down the actual episodes, but it's very easy to take down the songs. So they're basically saying, hey, take this stuff down in case something happens, and then thus the impact will be less. We will be on the line for less impact, less cost if there is some sort of legal action. That technically does happen. If somebody contacts you about a legal dispute of copyright, take it down immediately. Thus, if later on it does get taken to court, you can say it was only up for 5 minutes. The amount of impact to their copyright is less. That could be what they end up doing here. Based on my limited knowledge of legal disputes and copyrights, don't take this to court. Aniplex, do not take my legal advice here as, I'm not a lawyer. Yeah, anyways. But anyways, I think that's sort of what they're doing here is this is a minimizing impact until they can discuss what's going on. And again, my biggest hope in the end, I said it in my previous video, and I want to say it this time again, I do hope this kind of gets mulled over as just kind of water under the bridge. Like, again, these two groups come together, hopefully Aniplex being the production committee, and, them being involved with Sony, obviously same company, they can come to an agreement very easily. Just a slap on the wrist, hey, don't do that again. You weren't supposed to do that to begin with. Somebody might get in trouble for not having contact with the right people. But in the end, it just turns into a slap in the wrist. The show stays up. The music goes back up. Because, again, the actual guy that did the song, or at least one of the band members, they love X Japan. Like, they specifically tweeted out saying, yes, my band did it because we love and respect X Japan. It was an homage. We want to do this because we love X Japan. I love X Japan. A lot of people do. But again, I kind of hope that this all gets, mulled over well, just because this has turned into a very positive thing, and it sucks to see sort of something negative come out of it. Everybody's coming together. This is literally something that is bringing the X Japan fans to Dandadan. It's taking fans of anime and Dandadan, and it's introducing them to X Japan, which I think is fantastic. I mean, this is something I grew up with. I absolutely love their music growing up with it. And so to see more people kind of getting, oh crap, what is this? This is incredible. This song's, yeah, here you go. Here's a whole album. Go check them out. They're great music. That's the kind of positive thing. And to see something sort of negative come out of it in the end, it kind of sucks. And it does sort of shine a light on just how kind of archaic and kind of crappy their laws are. Not that I'm here to dictate what Japan does with their own laws, but you can still kind of note that it's kind of crappy. The fact that you can't go, I really love this thing, and I want to make an homage to it, and you get sued. That sucks. I love Mario, so I want to make a cosplay of Mario, and I can possibly get sued if they want to come after me. That sucks. But again, it's their laws. And the lawyers here are actually following through with it because, again, they have to protect their copyrights. They have to, otherwise they could lose them in some... I'm not sure if that's the case in Japan. I know that there's some cases like that with America, but anyways, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just giving my perspective, what I think is kind of happening here. I haven't seen any public statements yet. I doubt they would make any public statements. If anything, we'd probably hear about this way later. Or maybe Yoshiki will enlighten us because they've already mentioned a couple things. I'm not sure if they were allowed to, but anyways, I want to give you guys an update on this whole situation. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support the channel more, become a member of the channel. Until next time, y'all take care.